My guest today is a mother. She's a doula, a birth educator, a women's empowerment facilitator, yoga teacher, masseuse, and conscious entrepreneur. She loves being of service in such multi-passionate ways, all while creating a conscious, healthy, abundant, and simple life with her beautiful family in the Northern Rivers of Australia. Her capacity to listen to others and understand the huge range of human behaviors, personalities, traumas, and life situations people go through is evident in the way she applies herself to be of service through her work, especially for the greater good and thriving of women. My guest has had her fingers in many, many holistic health pies, and now she focuses her life on building a tribe of visionaries, leaders, and entrepreneurs, generously supporting them to step into this new paradigm of community and business. With a deep inspiration to lead, mentor, and collaborate with people to help them break through limiting belief systems that hold them back from achieving their true potential, my guest helps women create the life they truly desire. Her passion for being part of a thriving movement and community where she can truly make a difference in people's lives, leading them towards greater health, vitality, wealth, sustainable and toxic-free living, is the North Star that drives her. If you're a woman who wants the financial freedom to choose her own hours, to work with a community of inspiring and loving women doing great things in the world on the down low, this is the episode for you. Hello, listeners. Thanks for joining another episode of the Skin I'm In podcast. I'm your host, Chanel, and this is a place where women can tune in to gain peace through clarity, purpose through inspiration, and the permission to be themselves through the stories of other women. If you're enjoying these episodes so far, click the like, share, and subscribe button so that more women like you can be positively impacted by the stories in this podcast. Welcome to the Skin I'm In podcast, Natasha. How are you?
Really good, thank you, Chanel. I'm so excited to be here.
I know I've been, I was saying to you just before you got on to the video call that there is so much I wanted to find out about you and what you do, because I think that, I'm just going to call out some of the amazing work that you actually have done, because it says a lot, I think, about where your passion lies and who you are as a woman. So you are a mother. You've worked in disability and mental health as a counselor. You are a doula, a birth educator, a women's empowerment facilitator, a yoga teacher, masseuse, and a conscious entrepreneur. Like, what do you think has been the thing that has guided you to be in these kinds of areas where you are actually creating a space for women to thrive?
Yeah, well, I've always been passionate about helping people. Like, that's been my core, I suppose, passion throughout my whole life. As I was growing up, I knew that I just wanted to be of service for people in all of the ways. And I suppose my passion for really supporting women was after I decided to let go of my mental health work that I was doing. That was like a whole journey in itself. Like, I got to grow and learn so much about myself and people and humanity in such a deep way. And it was the most confronting, challenging, rewarding thing ever. And that was kind of like my time to really, I suppose, step out in the world and to explore this area. And then it was only until I stepped into the area of teaching yoga where I started to come into a deeper connection with myself through my own practice through yoga. So I really started to connect to my own essence of who I am as a woman. And this was when I started to also feel really clucky to become a mum. Like, I could feel these like hormones changing within myself. I'm like, I just want to be a mum. Like, can't wait to step into that role of motherhood and experience that for myself. And as that was birthing through me throughout my yoga teaching courses that I was doing, I started to receive like real clarity that I wanted to support pregnant women in my yoga teaching. Like, this just came through so strong. And once I called that in and once I got really clear on my vision and who I wanted to teach yoga to, within a little while after, I fell pregnant. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like boom, 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 like just the universe going, okay, you want to support pregnant women? I think it's really necessary that you support yourself as a pregnant woman first. to then feel in that full embodiment to then support other women in pregnancy. So that's kind of where it all started. And then it's been this beautiful growth and evolution. Well, I became pregnant in my late 20s. I'm now in my late 40s. So over the last many years, it's been this beautiful growth and evolution of just falling more and deeply in love with being of service to women. And yeah, I just love every aspect of it. And now having two children and going through pregnancy twice now and birth, yeah, it just keeps changing and evolving in who I am becoming. And as I'm maturing into more of who I am, my service to women changes and keeps growing at the same time.
I felt really moved by that universal synchronicity that you experience, to want to help women who are, pregnant women, to then the universe being like, okay, well, let me really show you what it means to be a mother and a pregnant woman. There are some challenges, especially in the first trimester, that I hear a lot about. And I think that it's such a wonderful thing. And surely there was something that in your life guided you to move away from disability and mental health into this area of healing arts for women. Was there something that changed for you when you were doing counseling work that you're like, you know what, this is great, and I feel like I've done what I need to do here. It's time for me to move on? Or did something actually happen that called you to start doing the yoga instructing and all
Uh,
that?
there was nothing specific that happened. It was more energetically, I got to a point where I couldn't give myself anymore to this field. I realized it was very draining after many, many years. And yeah, I think it was just like energetically, I was just done. And like when I actually left, when I made that decision of like wanting to stop working in the mental health field, all I wanted to do was work in a plant nurse. This is another interesting thing that happened, but all I wanted to do was work in a plant nursery, to just be in silence and not have any people around me and just connect with the plants and be in nature.
I
And
can so get that.
yeah, totally. It's
Plants and
interesting.
animals don't need people.
No, yeah. So I kind of, when that happened, this was the other kind of synchronistic magic moment. But when I made that decision to let go of the mental health field, I met my partner. And within like a month, we were like, we need to get out of Melbourne. We were living in Melbourne at the time. We need to just get in the car and drive and see what happens and actually have an adventure. And that was like the biggest gift for me in that moment, because I had no idea what was coming to me in that moment. I was just like totally open, flying free. We just packed the car and started driving up north. And at the same time, I was also doing my yoga teacher training. Kind of timeline was a bit shorter there, but yeah, I was also doing my yoga teacher training at the same time. And yeah, it just kind of gave me that opportunity to step out and just trust that the next chapter was going to be the most supportive thing for me.
That's my dream. I just want to pack up the car. I keep saying to my husband, I don't care what we have to give up. We need an RV. I need to
Love
just
it.
drive places. That takes a trust in your intuition. How did you know to listen to that?
Well, that's the other thing that I feel has been a gift for me. I can feel like from my teen years, like I could feel like being connected to my intuition has been such a strong, potent thing for me from my teens all the way to this very day right now. And I lean into my intuition. I listen to my intuition. I listen to my heart. And yeah, it was just like in that moment, it was just like an instant feeling. There was no other way. Both when I met the partner at that time, his house was packed up. My house was packed up, ready to move to the hills of the Dandenongs to find a nursery job. And yeah,
I
we
love
were
this.
like, well, let's just go somewhere else. And anyway, and that's when we ended up traveling for quite some time. And that's where we landed in the Northern Rivers, where I am here today, like 19 years later. Um, yeah, I found my new home away from Melbourne. And that's where I really started to open up into thriving, into supporting women. And yeah, um, my whole world changed. And that's when I got pregnant, had a baby. everything changed.
It's
Yeah,
exactly where you were meant to be. It's the ground you
exactly.
were meant to put your feet on so that you could actually step into the woman that you needed to become. Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel
have,
like intuition, like something, I suppose for women, is something that we all have, like that deeper listening to the heart. And it's very easily discounted or disconnected from, because of the busyness, because of the mind, because of all of the things going on. So I find for me, the way I move in life is always to come back to my heart, listening to that and trusting that I'm guided in every moment.
so to practice that, do you, I anticipate you meditate, or do you have a gratitude practice? Is there something that you can share with these listeners that, want to become more grounded, want to be able to start listening more to their intuition? What can they start doing?
Yeah, well, I find for me, my biggest teacher, my biggest medicine is nature.
Mm.
I Since leaving Melbourne, I've always chosen to live amongst nature, and I find that gives me, well, firstly, it slows me down, it brings me into presence, helps me get out of my mind, and it it's connected to the earth, which I feel for me is just like instant therapy, instant medicine to support me to feel connected to myself and to all there is. And then within that, there's also, I have two daughters, they're now 9 and 19, my partner, we've got a dog and a cat in the house, and I'm running my business. And, life can be very full. But the practices that I bring in through my day to day activities is, apart from nature, is definitely like resting. So
Mm.
taking time throughout the day just to stop and pause, whether I'm sitting, lying down, stretching. Yoga practice, obviously, that's kind of changed for me a lot over the years. Not when I was much younger without kids. My yoga practice is a bit all over the place these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but intimacy with my partner, like I'm very tactile, like pattern breaking when like stepping out of the mundane activities throughout the day and consciously being spontaneous with
Mm.
doing things that I might not normally be doing, because I find that that just like instantly brings me back to myself. And then anything for me that cultivates joy and expression, when I feel the emotions, to express the emotions rather than push them down. And yeah, so many things. I think it's just any practice to allow ourselves to come back to connecting to ourselves and slowing everything down so we can actually feel. Mm.
How do you create a life of spontaneity? Like, especially when it comes down to intimacy, right? Because our lives get so busy. We get so tired. It's like, it's a tomorrow problem. It's always a tomorrow problem. How do you create that spontaneity in your life? And I don't know if you're someone who, like, I know that I like to eat the same thing every day. I like to have routine. I never realized how much I loved routine. And so for me to break that routine feels uncomfortable. And I guess it's something that I probably need to practice more often, right? And I'm
Yeah.
really aware of that as I'm saying. And I'm like, that's what you need to do, Chanel. So how do you bring spontaneity in your life in that way?
Yeah. I suppose it's just, I know that it stretches me and
Mm.
sometimes it can feel uncomfortable. And that's where the growth is. Like anytime I'm spontaneous, I feel growth. It's like, as we know, when we're in the same routine day after day, the same choices, the same activities, that can still be great and we can still live a fulfilling and wholesome life. But I find I am definitely wanting to cultivate more just play and fun and adventure. And when I can just be like, you know what, I'm just going to go down to the creek today. I mean, where I live is beautiful, there's lots of nature spots we can visit. Or I'm just going to take my older daughter out and we're going to go to the cafe, and I'm going to put work to the side and do that later. Like, what I value is freedom
Mm.
in my life, and I don't want to be stuck or restricted in what I do. So it's just a conscious decision that I'm going to be spontaneous and I'm going to choose how my day unfolds. I don't want to be stuck in a position where I can't have that freedom to choose. So I just get to choose. It's like I wake up and it's like, yeah, maybe I'm going to do this different today. Or I take my daughter to the bus stop, and instead of coming back home to work, I might end up going to a cafe. And I find like when I am spontaneous like that, magic happens. Like
Mm.
so much magic can happen because it's like I'm just not in the same routine. It's like we're opening up to different opportunities and expanding ourselves to new possibilities that who knows what is around the next corner. So yeah, it's just a decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want to pack up my house and move to the northern New South Wales. It's funny, before I met my husband, no, actually, when I met my husband, because I'm from Sydney originally, and I moved to Melbourne 7 years ago. And all the things that I moved to Melbourne for is gone, right? The energy here is really different now than what it was before. And when I met him, I literally had driven up to Bellingen a couple of weeks later, because we met the first time, then we didn't exchange numbers or names or anything, but then the universe brought us back together a month later. And I was like, I'm moving. Like, I'm driving up to all these suburbs trying to work out where I'd want to live. Like driving to, I didn't get to Yamba, but I had every intention of getting there. I had only like 5 days of leave that I could have taken at that time and over the weekend. So I did a lot of driving in a very short amount of time. And I remember just driving through some of those suburbs and the energy. I mean, I say suburbs, they're more like towns on the water, towns that are like in the mountains, and so much lush greenery that I just felt protected, even though I
Mm.
didn't know anybody. I didn't know anyone. I had no idea what I was going. My nav didn't know where it was going. I'm like, I clearly need to update the nav. Like, where am I? But there's a rainforest there that's apparently in Bellingen. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a very like an ancient rainforest um, that has all these kinds of mystical powers. I was like, one of these days I need to get down there, right? Have you been back to Melbourne since you moved? Like, especially in the last few years?
Yeah, definitely, because my mum and dad still live in Melbourne.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, and my daughters, obviously they're really close with them. So I do come back to Melbourne, yeah, 2 or 3 times in the year.
How does it
And
feel being back here?
yeah, I definitely get clarity that I don't want to ever live back in Melbourne. Yeah, I'm so happy where I am. Like the lifestyle up here is so different, and yeah, the beauty, the nature, the people, the lifestyle, all of it, the culture up here is really beautiful, especially to bring kids up.
Mm.
The children and the elderly are very much incorporated into the whole community.
Mm.
Where I find Melbourne is, yeah, a little bit different and busy and so much traffic. So yeah, I love coming back to visit. Like it does feel like my other home, and there's familiarity. And I suppose for me, my childhood in Melbourne, I had the most beautiful childhood. I haven't had any trauma from my parents, thankfully. I'm so, so grateful. Like, I had the most beautiful, loving, stable upbringing, lived in one house. And so coming back brings back fond, lovely memories. But yeah, I'm really happy that I made the decision to move. And mind you, when I made that spontaneous decision to pack the car, I was in my 20s. Like, I probably wouldn't make a massive, huge, like, spontaneous decision now
Yeah.
because I've got to consider my partner and the dog and the cat and the kids. Like, it's a very different phase now. But I just bring in the spontaneous actions, the little ones that just bring in more life into my day. Yeah.
There's something to be said, though, about living in nature. Like, I recently bought a grounding mat because our backyard, when we bought this house, we moved we got the keys in end of February this year, and we knew it was a reno, right? So the main thing that we now are working on is the backyard, and we can't fix that until the fences are done. So we're dealing with our neighbors with the fences.
Yeah.
But I've got no grass back there to go put my feet in. And like my
Mm.
husband knows, like I take my shoes off and I like run on sand or grass or something. I love just putting my feet in sand and grass. And I can't do that here. So I bought a grounding mat. I don't know that it works. So what have you had any experiences with grounding products, or what do you think of them?
I've got no idea, to be honest, because I've got the earth just out
Yeah.
here. Like I'm looking
You
out,
don't
I'm
need
in my
it.
office, I'm looking out to the trees, the green
Yeah.
grass. We've got so much land around. We've got swimming holes, creeks, mountains. I've got Mount Warning. You may have heard of Mount Warning or Mount Wollumben, just over the range over there. And yeah, I think just by being in nature, I don't. need the grounding mats, but I'm sure they're amazing for like people like yourself that don't have access to nature like that. So yeah, what a gift for you. Does it help you,
I
Chanel?
don't know that it's helping me.
Oh,
That's what I mean. I'm like, I bought the one that seemed the most popular, and now I'm like, I don't know if this is doing anything. I don't feel like I sleep better. I don't feel like I'm less inflamed. Like,
okay.
but what I do notice is the days that I don't do yoga, I really suffer.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't slow down. I feel more irritable. Like now that we've got another puppy, I can't go and lock myself because we've created this house had a theater room, and I was like, there is no way we're sitting in a dark room and watching movies. Like that's just it's just not what that's not who, like I don't enjoy that. I'm like, there's no windows. This is depressing. I was like,
Yeah.
let's make it into a gym. So I've made it into a gym, and I'll go in there and I close the door and I just like space out for half an hour, 45 minutes. And if I can't do that, I feel so out of sorts. And these last few days, I kid you not, like even when you were saying, I really feel like yoga connects you to your womb space, which for me is the creative center of every woman. And
Absolutely.
what is it, do you think, that changed for you when you started doing yoga, excuse me, that made you realize that you were, that's the path that you wanted to start going down in terms of instructor? I anticipate you started doing yoga and then you're like, I want to be an instructor. And then that led you from one thing to another.
Yeah, it was the yoga, teaching prenatal yoga combined with being pregnant myself. And then at that time, while I was pregnant, I received clarity that I wanted to support women in birth. So then that opened me up to this whole world of being pregnant, teaching yoga, wanting to support women in birth, then me going through my own birth, and then just continuing that journey moving forwards after my first daughter was born. And yeah, from there, very quickly, when we did land up here in the Byron Bay area, I ended up magically manifesting a health and wellness healing space for women that I opened up with another beautiful woman. And then that opened up my world to diving in deeper into it was a yoga, like teaching yoga, not myself, just me, but my business partner. We brought other yoga teachers in, and it was this beautiful healing hub for women through pregnancy, birth, motherhood. And then we opened the space up for all events and all other women, juicy women things. And then that was when I really started to cultivate the deeper connection to the womb space. And to once I started supporting women in birth as well, that was just like, yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to a birth yourself, or any of you listening, whether you've had your own birth or been present at anyone else's birth, it is the most transformational, potent, other worldly experience ever. That is the biggest initiation for any woman to go through. And me going through it myself and then witnessing other women in that space was just, yeah, that just brought in like an even deeper passion to for women of who we are, whether we've had a baby or not, but just feeling into like us as women and our beautiful bodies and our creative energy and our expression and our femininity and our power. And yeah, so yeah, I could speak, there's so much to
I was
talk
going to
about
say, I'm
on that.
like, keep talking, because
Yeah.
so while you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what you think of the current, fem movement, where they're literally trying to push women, or at least I feel like that's what they're trying to do, to delay motherhood, to, not be a mother at all. Like life's so much better when you're single. And there's all these TikTok videos that talk about women who are bragging about how wonderful it is that they're single and they don't have kids.
Oh
What are
my
your
goodness.
thoughts about what's going on in that respect, where, women are pushing having children and women are choosing not to have children at all?
Yeah, right. I didn't even know that there was a whole thing around
Oh,
that.
there's a whole movement,
Oh
like
my
this whole
gosh.
TikTok craze. There's also like this
Wow.
TikTok craze where women are going, which is totally fine. I have nothing against this, no judgment whatsoever, having children without a partner. So whether they're going
Mm.
through IVF or whatever, and then basically getting on TikTok and bragging about how they don't have to go to their in-laws for Christmas and they don't have to do this because they're a single mum. Like
Oh my
kind of
goodness.
high-fiving being a single mum. And I'm like, I grew up with a single mum. There is nothing to high-five. It was
No.
my two sisters and I. My mum was a wreck. Like, I don't know how she slept at night. I don't know how she kept a roof over our heads. Oh, that there is nothing to brag about being a single mum. And so there's these two movements of women just being like, I don't need men and I don't want children and why would I want either, and all these kinds of things, like it really breaks my heart. And I've said so many times on this podcast, I don't come from a place of judgment whatsoever. I come from a place of, because I used to be there. I didn't want kids for a very long time. And not because I didn't like children. I was starting to worry. In hindsight, I look back on this now. I was starting to worry it was never going to happen for me. I was never going to meet someone. I was never going to be able to be a mum. And so I was just like, you know what? Life's good the way that it is. I don't want kids anyway. For about 10 years, I didn't want children. And so I've been on that side of the fence, but I never fist pumped other women for being in my shoes. I feel like it comes from a place of hurt and lack for women. And unless we do the work on ourselves, we can never really truly step into what womanhood is without being a mother. And I'm not a mother. I'm not a mother, and I get that. I mean, I'm a mum to 2 dogs, but I really feel like that's our calling. And I know I'm going to get into so much trouble on socials for this. I really feel like motherhood is our calling. It really teaches us how to be women. Like, I see how women change. You change. So like, and you're not even coming across this. This is crazy. God, you're lucky.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not seeing any of this stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm kind of shocked, but also not shocked to know that this is even happening. Look, I think it just really, like, the world right now is a pretty interesting place when it comes to social media. My daughter is 19. I've gone through years of seeing the things that she looks at. I think, yeah, it's like, yeah, the way the world is, social media, all of the different trends, the different influences out there, who we are as human beings. I think it's just all comes back down to choice and just trusting our own path. And I feel like whether a woman has a baby or not, we can still definitely tap into our femininity and our womanhood. Absolutely. And there's many women that either choose not to have babies or don't want to have babies or can't have babies. But there's so many other ways in how we can cultivate what it feels like to be a woman, to express our womanness. Being pregnant and giving birth and having a baby, yes, that's going to access a whole other part to ourselves. But the fact that there's all of these people out there promoting that, like, that's kind of just really sad. That does break my heart as well, because I think this is where, like, lack of information, lack of education, lack of support, what gets taught in schools is nothing to do with this. You know, we don't get taught in schools how to create embodiment as a woman or as a man. So it's the foundations that we're given. And I think, obviously trauma has a big part of that in how people's lives play out. But I have full, like, for any single mum, like, just, well, I think any mum, I suppose there's so many different variations of who we are as women, who we are as mums, and we just need to trust that the path that we're on is absolutely perfect. But it's also about creating conscious choices and being educated and supported around what we feel to bring into the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Even as you were saying that, I was just like, actually, I look at mothering something in so many different aspects, and good call out on, there are women out there who can't have children. For a long time, I thought that I wasn't sure if I could. And then I thought, well, actually, one of the things that really pushed my mum to grow as a woman was to start her own business. And that was her baby for a really long time. And I know amazing female founders who I've spoken to on the podcast and off the podcast who really look at their businesses as their baby. Their kids have grown, and this is now the new thing that they're birthing. And so I think that regardless of whether it's a human baby or the most creative idea you've ever had, or a dog, I don't care what anyone says, mothering a dog is mothering.
Yes, I was about to
Like,
say that. Yeah.
it is mothering. It's not the same. I keep getting, it's not the same. I'm like, no, babies will eventually tell you what they need. Dogs never will.
Yeah. Love
So
that.
everyone stop that. So it really is that. And that's why I look at the womb as such a creative space, like that's our center of creativity. Once we connect to that, and I know that when I connected to that, the vision I had for this podcast changed, and the way I moved in the world changed. I had a horrible cycle when I did so I had done work with a Chinese doctor of Chinese medicine, an acupuncturist. And when I did that work, and I physically felt a connection within my body, and then my cycle after that was horrific. It was terrible. I don't know if anyone's done any, like, I guess, trauma healing or somatic therapies or anything like that, but when you really do tap into some trauma that you're holding in your body and you can finally let it go and heal it, it affects your menstrual cycles, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I wish more women knew that.
Mm.
I wish I knew that earlier. I would have been able to know what's going on in my body so much sooner.
Mm.
So you do a lot of, so now your focus in terms of your business is that the affiliate marketing mostly, and you do the doula work on the side? Are you still doing yoga instructing or anything like that? What are you doing now to help women? Because you do so many things. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're like this holistic, all-inclusive
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that question. So I'm a business doula now. Like, I've come from a birthing baby doula, and
Okay.
now I see myself as a business doula
Okay.
because I love supporting women to birth their businesses. Like what you were exactly saying, like once they've had the babies and then they have more babies by birthing their businesses. It's exactly that. Like, I'm so passionate in really helping women to ignite their true purpose and their soul mission and to step into their fullest potential. So yes, I support women. I mentor women to create their own businesses through high ticket affiliate marketing.
Mhm.
And at the same time, my birthing doula experience is still it's there on the side, but I'm not promoting myself as a birth doula right now. I'm not attending many births, basically. If one was to come my way, that, with a woman that I know, or she felt really drawn to me, then I'd be totally open to it. But I was finding with birthing babies, it was just getting a bit hard for my family to be on call. Well, hard for myself and my family to be on call. And yeah, it just wasn't really becoming conducive for my lifestyle. I had to have the phone on, when I was sleeping, and being on call and not knowing, it was just very disruptive. So I kind of consciously chose to kind of close that chapter mostly. Like, I was at a dear friend's birth last year because she wanted me there. So that was just so beautiful. But I don't have to rely, where I was at with my yoga teaching, and giving massage and doing doula support work and running birth workshops and running the healing center for women was all so fulfilling. And I loved every single part of it. But I got to a point where financially it wasn't sustaining me. And I couldn't rely, I had my toes dipped in so many things. Like, I'd teach a yoga class here and then a yoga class there, and then I'd do a birth and then a massage. And at the same time, I had my own daughters to be raising and my partner and living life. And I was just stretched in so many different directions. And yeah, it was just becoming a bit much. And I was realizing that financially I wasn't getting ahead at all. Like, I was always in survival mode. I'm like, I don't want to be living my life this way. And that's when, very suddenly, my 8-year-old daughter at the time just came crashing down with a headache and experienced a stroke, which was very unexpected. And she just basically, our whole life changed within a split second. So we rushed to hospital. She was in hospital for 2 weeks. They had no idea how this happened. Basically, the blood flow stopped in her brain for a split second. And now she's been left with some limited physical movement on the left side of her body. And there's been this whole healing journey to support her since then. She's now 19. She's thriving. She's doing childcare work and adapting to being in the world. But it was, such a shock and so much grief and trauma at that time. The fact that she's alive and she's walking and she can do everything is amazing. But what also came for me in that moment was that I was just stretched in so many different directions. I was being very multifaceted, and it wasn't serving me. And it was a massive wake up in that time of her being in hospital. And I had to really reflect moving forwards, like, life can change in a split second. Like, we can die in any moment.
Mm-hmm.
is this the way I want to be living my life? Is this my path? Is this what I wanted to be doing? And that's when soon after, as I was kind of contemplating all these things, we actually, me and my partner in that time opened up a samosa business. We thought, let's just get into cooking and offer food for the community. And that was an amazing pathway. But again, financially, we would always just break even. We were very much in the community, loved it all. And then thankfully, my high ticket affiliate marketing business landed in my lap. This was over 6 years ago now. And once we saw that and felt into the possibilities of what this business could bring me and my family, that was like the golden ticket to freedom, because this was the thing that was going to really support us to thrive with our health, with community connection, leadership, being of service to women, being of service to families, and also financially. So our whole life kind of took this big turn after my daughter had the stroke. Did the traditional samosa business, then let go of that. And then we've fully been stepping into, really supporting women now on a global scale. Like, I love the fact that I can bring in all of my wisdom through my yoga, through my massage, through my doula work, to now bringing it into this kind of wholesome way of supporting all women from young to old, single to partnered, and being available to help them thrive in all the ways. So I feel like my mission is kind of expanding into a different pathway in the last 6 years. And it feels amazing. And now I still do massage. I also offer yoni steaming for women, if you've heard of that. It's a beautiful ritual practice. And I love to be able to do that on the side and not rely on that for my income, and really, do that more from a place of passion. So that's kind of the journey. There's been so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it's very clear what your passions are, though. Set aside the samosa business.
Yeah.
Everything kind of follows a theme. Like, you really have stepped into that. What can you do in this time in your life to help other women thrive in a way that gives them access to freedom of time,
Yeah.
freedom, financial freedom? But it also sounds like you may probably have been pretty burnt out doing all the things and running in all the different directions and being pulled in all the different directions. Would you say that you experienced burnout at that time?
Yeah, I don't think I experienced burnout, but I experienced extreme overwhelm. And that was just like constantly taking me out of my center. And that's where I was like, is this how I want to be living? Like, I really had to keep questioning myself. I'm like, I'm constantly overwhelmed. Like, everything just feels too much. And I'm trying to be the best mum as I can and live a life of freedom and have the spontaneity. But it was all just like this washing machine. And one actual, like, beautiful gift that my partner gifted me with around that time, he said, I invite you to let go of the word overwhelm. Like, just eradicate the whole word from your lingo, from your language, and see what happens. And this was around the time that this other business came into my life. And it has been phenomenal. Like, I don't ever get overwhelmed anymore in life. I might get a little frazzled or stressed or highly anxious, but the overwhelm is such a big energy of just everything kind of collapsing, and I just can't function. Everything just feels too much. Now it's like, if it's there, I'm aware of it, and then I bring in practices to support myself energetically to help me, whether it's stopping and breathing or resting or going for a walk, taking myself away from the family. As you know, if there's other mums out there, once you do, whether you have puppies or kids, some days are just like absolute chaos.
Yeah.
And to kind of function as women, to function in our days at times is a lot. Like, some days all I want is just a day of quiet and silence, but can't always get that every day. So it's finding the little golden gems that can weave into my day to support me with that.
And can you
Yeah.
explain affiliate marketing to me? Because I don't really understand what it is.
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of people don't understand. So I'll just say, nip it in the bud. It's not a scam. It's not a pyramid scheme.
I mentioned it to my girlfriend because I know that she has chosen to be a stay-at-home mum. She wants to homeschool. Like, she's making her own butter and yogurt. Like, she has really gotten into that, homesteading vibe, and I love it. I'm like, hey, so there's this thing called affiliate marketing, and she's like, oh no, it's totally a pyramid scheme. I'm like, I don't think it is, but I don't really understand it. So like, what is it?
Yeah, sure. So there's all different, you can be affiliates for any company. Like I could be an affiliate for you, Chanel, in promoting your podcast, for example. If you were charging for your podcast, and if I go and promote it, you would give me a little cut of, me promoting it as an affiliate gift. So it's similar to that. Basically, we have partnered with a Japanese company. They're called Enagic. They have been here for 50 years from the Blue Zone in Okinawa. You might have heard of
Yes,
the
I
Blue Zones. Yes.
have.
So they're based in Okinawa, and they've just recently celebrated their 50th birthday celebration. And this is a beautiful company with such a big mission and vision for every single person on the planet to have full physical health, full mental and emotional health, and full financial health. When we can have all of those pieces together, we can absolutely thrive. If we don't have our physical health, life gets pretty hard. If we don't have our mental or emotional health, everything's stressful. If we don't have money, things can get really challenging. So simple vision and mission. And when we felt into this company, it was like, wow, this company feels amazing and so much heart, and they have a 500-year vision, and they're not just here for this day and age, but they've got a vision for the future generations. So they produce products. Some of you may have heard of Kangen water systems. Kangen means return to origin. These water systems basically restructure any water source into antioxidant, hydrogen-rich, living, alkalized water that gives people optimal health and vitality. They also can produce waters that can replace many products around the home. So for first aid, plants, beauty, cleaning, disinfecting, any body condition, skin conditions, any health condition, serious or minor, this water has incredible therapeutic benefits for supporting the body to return to optimal health. And then they have a shower filter that produces lush water, and they have an EMF harmonizer that reduces harmful EMF waves in the home, and they have turmeric products. So they're the only products that they create. We have partnered with them. We sell those products, and then through the very sophisticated patented business model, we get rewarded financially very well. So that's pretty much it in a little nutshell. They have a legacy wealth pathway. So when me and my partner saw this aspect of the business, to know that we can create residual monthly income starting at $5,000 for the rest of our life into our bank accounts. And then when we die, that monthly income gets passed down to our children. And that's just the starting point. It goes all the way up and up and up. There's basically uncapped income with this. When we felt that was like, oh, if we can create this for our family and our daughters, what a gift that is, like, to really support them in that way, fully breaking the chains of poverty and scarcity through the generational lineage, because most people have poverty and scarcity in their lineages. So me and my partner are like, right, this is our mission and vision. We're going to create this legacy wealth for our family, but also show other people how they can do this too. So my mission is to share this solution and to show other women and families this beautiful business model that has so much heart, integrity, focus on health, sustainability, wellness, personal growth, leadership. And then within all of that, I generate beautiful souls to come on board this journey with me. And we're part of a massive global conscious entrepreneurial community where we all support each other. There's not an inch of competition. There's not an inch of doubt or negativity. Like this community, I've come across many different communities in my lifetime with personal growth and leadership. There's nothing comes close to the heart and integrity of this community, of all really celebrating one another to create success. And not only for ourselves, but all of the people that we get to impact. And yeah, it's just so inspiring. Like we see people coming from absolute rock bottom to fully flipping their lives around, not just financially, but with purpose and vision. And we're seeing people birth their biggest visions. Like this was the other reason why me and my partner stepped into this, is that we realized that the doors to our dreams and visions were tight shut because we were always in financial survival mode. And now I'm just here to really support women and families to go, you know what, you can create your bigger dreams and visions. There is another way. Like we just didn't know that there wasn't another way, unless, we didn't want to invest in cryptos. And although we did invest in a whole lot of things and lost so much money, This is
Yeah.
a reliable, sustainable, generational wealth business model that is here to stay. So yeah, it's amazing.
It also sounds like something that would, continue to thrive in a pandemic.
Absolutely. It went up like
Yeah.
what was it, 17% of the company's sales went up in the pandemic because people realized that, well, first and foremost, the water supports boosting immune system, and people realize that they can't depend on the government or their boss. And so many people decided to come on board in that time to take their life and business into their own hands. Like, we can do this business wherever we are in the world, in my pajamas, in bed, sitting outside, on the beach, traveling. Like, the beautiful thing of location freedom is such a gift. And not having to go to a boss, not having to wake up, not having to get a weekend, I feel there's people out there that work full time and love it and amazing. But I know that there's so many people out there that have jobs full time, realizing, looking at the ticking time bomb of life. Life is going past, and only having the freedom to take a few days off each week and a few weeks off each year, the restriction of that, I just feel for people that are in that and stuck in that without realizing that there's another way, and not actually, or for the parents in that, and not having the freedom in their day to spend, freedom in their life to spend time with their kids. Like, I could not imagine anything worse for myself. Like, and like I said, like, there's some of you that fully love it and that's your choice. It's amazing. But I know that there's so many people struggling and yearning for something else, or yearning to be at home with their kids, or having to, put their kids, work that job to get the funds to put their kids in childcare and not even ever see your kids. Like, that doesn't compute for me. So, yeah.
I saw a lady, and I forget her name now, but she's got this podcast, and she had this woman on who talks about how women have been completely sold a narrative that is absolutely like a lie. Like, we've been sold a lie for decades. And she talks about how it is actually cheaper to be a stay-at-home mum than it is to
Mm.
go to work and put your children in childcare. But they've convinced us that it's better to do that because you're still earning money. And I think childcare is like $150 a day or something. Like, I don't spend $150 a day anywhere ever. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that that's like average. I think some places are a lot more than that. So do you need sales experience to do stuff like this? Because I know that anyone that I've talked to about, these things, they're like, oh, but it's like sales and it's just not something that I do. Do you actually need sales experience?
You don't need sales experience at all. Like, the beautiful thing about this is we have a whole training academy that gives people the education in sales, gives people the education in marketing, all the strategies. Like, most people that start this business don't have any skill set whatsoever, but we have like step-by-step education. But the one thing I really love to bring about sales, like, I hear this a lot, like, I have so many conversations and women are like, I'm not a salesperson, I don't want to do sales. Most people in the world are doing sales. Like, whether you have a business with any product, you need to do sales. Whether you're a massage therapist, you need to sell yourself. Whether you're making lotions and potions, whatever it is, it's like, this is when you go to the coffee shop, the person's there selling you a coffee. Sales is part of our world and our culture. And I bring it into, like, sales is service. Sales is being of service. If you go to the most amazing restaurant, you're going to want to tell all of your friends and family because you loved it. If you have products that you love and receive like incredible health benefits by, that is going to support you and your family and your children for your lifetime, by sharing it with others, that's selling, but it's coming from a place of heart and integrity. So there's a few different aspects there. It's like having the right attitude and belief around sales, but then also you don't need to be like the most fancy salesperson to create success in this business. We have a lot of systems in place. We also have a whole automation sales team that can do all of the sales if you don't want to be doing any of that. So there's many different variables for people to really lean into that. But yeah, we have everything in place to support people to get started with absolutely no experience. The main prerequisites is a yearning desire for freedom in your life, community and collaboration, to be willing to do the inner work and to have personal growth. So much is about the inner work, to a drive for success, to be of service and help people. Yeah, and a passion and a purpose to help people thrive in all the different ways. So they're mainly the prerequisites, and yeah, willingness to learn, obviously, and to be humble enough to receive coaching. And but apart from that, yeah, you don't have to have a university degree or anything like that. Just a big vision to lean into, to know that this can fully support you in creating that.
And when you think about all the things that you've done, because you've done a lot, Natasha,
Yeah.
like you've done a lot. You really have had your finger in a lot of pies. And like, I said before that a lot of them are very clearly related to each other in the holistic space. I think that this new venture, while it isn't in the same, you're not doing the same day to day, it still is in the area of wellness and holistic wellness, that you're really wanting people to thrive. And thriving is so much more than physical health. Wellness is so much more than physical health. And so when you think of the woman that you are today, what do you wish you could have, like, what did you wish sooner? Like, what's the thing that you think to yourself, I really wish I knew blah, blah sooner?
Interesting question. I love this. Oh, yeah, feel definitely all of the women's work that I'm doing now in over the years, to have received that a lot sooner, whether it's through my parents or through my family or school people. Like, I feel like that was and still is a really big missing link for the younger generation, and also mental health, like to really understand the connection between the mind and the heart and the womb and the ego. If I was to have received that, like, full transmission earlier, I don't know where I would be now. Like, I'm like, oh, be like a whole different woman. So
Yeah.
I mean, for me though, I feel like I'm blessed. I didn't have the trauma like I shared through my family. But if I'm to look at like other people that I know, to have support around trauma at a younger age, I think would change the world drastically. Like, drastically. Yeah. Or to have like more positive birth solutions where women are encouraged to trust their bodies and to, listen to their hearts, and to really understand that our bodies are designed to naturally birth. Like, I can get, quite triggered when I hear about women not even giving themselves the opportunity to go into natural labor. They just select a day to have a cesarean. It's like, yep, we all have a choice, but it's like, oh, you are like stealing this most potent experience away from yourself that you have no idea what it could gift you. So yeah, I think just more education around being a girl, being a woman, get our bodies, mental health, and how to navigate emotions.
I spoke to an osteo who specializes in a lot of similar spaces, and she was saying on an episode that there's a process that the baby goes through when it's coming out in the natural way. The mucus that gets whatever sucked out, squeezed out, the fact
Yes.
that the baby comes out, and you know, oftentimes I think it's normal for it kind of goes past our rear end, and that means that it's exposed to essential bacteria so that it
Mm-hmm.
won't have issues when they're older, and all these absolutely fascinating things. And I've totally butchered what she was saying, but she was the most amazing things that you wouldn't have even thought of, that are part of the process of birthing and the baby coming through the birth canal,
Mm-hmm.
that is essential for that baby to thrive once it
Mm-hmm.
gets older. And, if you think about all the autoimmune conditions and conditions in general that we are having to now deal with as a society, I wonder, with the C-sections becoming so much more popular, if we're actually affecting babies physically, but also in a spiritual sense, because I feel like there's a spiritual aspect to birthing. It's got to, you're
Absolutely.
coming through a portal, man. Like there is a
Absolutely.
portal. So like, what are
Yeah.
we doing? Like you're literally shanking it, yanking it, shanking it. Oh my God, I did not mean shanking it. Yanking it out of yourself
Yeah.
rather than allowing it to come through the portal. Like what advice do you have for women who, I mean, it doesn't
Mm.
necessarily have to be about the birthing space, but what advice do you have for women in this day and age when it comes to things like how can we thrive?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, well, just touching on the birthing experience, I feel like so much trauma is experienced through that process alone. Like, and that's where I feel like so much of the planetary's trauma stems from birth. Because this is like, imagine being in the womb for 9 months, closed in, supported, nourished, nurtured, held, and then suddenly, you experience bright lights and doctors, and it's like you can feel like how traumatic that would be for a brand new soul. Like this is where skin to skin contact and dim lights and bringing the baby into the world gently rather than in a shock way, like it's the first imprints of a human being's life is so, so important to give them those foundations that they need moving on in life. So if you have experienced your own birth trauma, or if you have had babies in a way that may have not been so nurturing or gentle, there's an opportunity for healing around that. And as we know, there is so many different possibilities for healing and trauma support and practitioners and therapists. So I suppose coming back to the question, like, how do women thrive? Like, definitely starting from the core of, like, if you feel that you have got unresolved trauma within your being, whether it's from birth or other things happening in your life, like, that is like a crucial piece to the puzzle of thriving. And even if it's just taking little steps to support yourself in receiving the right support for yourself, that's going to be better than kind of just like pushing it to the side and not even going there. But I also fully honor any of you that are hearing this, and that could also feel like totally confronting as well. Some of you may have already been on this path, some of you might be really new listening to this. So yeah, just to be really gentle with yourself and receive support in that process. So that would be like the number one piece. And then expanding from that, I suppose, yeah, for any woman to really ask yourself this question right now, like, are you truly happy? Or am I truly happy? Do I wake up feeling excited every day? Do I live my day in joy? Like, these are all the natural qualities as women that we should be experiencing: joy, happiness, pleasure, ecstaticness, gratitude, heart expansion, feminine. So many women I know don't feel that connection to being a woman in the feminine, like feeling strong and masculine and doing and busy and like constant. And then within that comes like, oh my God, we've got to do this and do this and do this. It's like so much can be happening up here. So yeah, asking yourself these questions, and then whatever answers you get, like, then really being truthful with yourself. And sometimes that can be really, really hard, like, especially if you're not feeling that you're thriving, or you're not living a fulfilling life. And then maybe, like, I love to kind of create like a bit of a mind map, putting yourself in the center and then kind of looking at all the different aspects of your life, whether it's children, family, partner, social, work, health, and kind of fleshing those aspects out and looking at the aspects of where you feel you're thriving more and where you feel you're thriving less, and then finding ways to take little steps to support yourself in creating more thriving. And I think as women, it's just self-care and nourishment, I feel, is another key piece. It's like so important and necessary. And that can come in many forms, whether it's connecting in nature, going out for a drink or cuppa with your girlfriend, chatting to someone on the phone, having a massage. I find massage is like non-negotiable for me. I have a massage once a week, non-negotiably, even though I give massage, not so much anymore. But for now, where I'm at in my life, like I need to receive massage once a week, no matter what. Going to spa and sauna, like that's for me is absolute lush. It's like whether I go on my own or with girlfriends, it's like, you know, just nourishing on every level. So finding things that nourish you, even if it's little things, or if you have kids and family, or if you're busy working, like finding if it's 5 minutes in the day just to stop and be with yourself. But when you look at the big aspect of there's so much in that word thriving, right? Then there's health. Health is a huge key factor, like eating the right food, drinking the right water. Water is a big topic for me that I'm so passionate to share the right education, because most water is dead water and not giving you the nourishment. And we are 70% water. If you're not putting the right water into your bodies, you will be dehydrated and acidic, and that creates inflammation in the body, which then, if you're not healthy in the body, everything else ripples out, which can't thrive. So eating organic food rather than processed foods, cooking rather than eating out all the time, all of these little choices that we can make to shift our lives rather than being depleted and stressed and heavy and lethargic, to just creating more expansion within ourselves and energy. Sleep.
Oh yeah. Don't even get me
Sleep.
started on sleep.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that? I miss those
Exactly.
days.
Yeah. Just even maybe going to bed an hour earlier than what you normally would, like making those little changes. And these things are like, I think, you know, you might hear me talking, it's like, oh, so many things, like that feels overwhelming. Like, how can I bring all of that into my life? But it's just taking one step at a time. And it's breaking the bad habits and bringing in good habits. But even if it's just like one a week, if it all feels too much. I see women having massive transformation when I support them in coming into my business team. Oh, it's confronting, but also so inspiring. Like confronting at the beginning to see where they're at, but then seeing how they can so quickly transform their lives. Like it's just truly remarkable. And I think as women, we are receptive. So if we're open to receiving, so much magic can happen. Yeah.
I think that a lot of us don't know where to start. And so that piece about, you know, start one thing a week. I mean, that's one of the things that I try to implement when I'm trying to give up things like sugar or something. I'll give up one thing at a time. I'm not going to eat chocolate this week. And next week, I'm not going to eat chocolate and biscuits. And the week after, I'm not going to eat chocolate, biscuits, and ice cream. So I just slowly transition it out, because I go years sometimes without eating chocolate, and then I'll have one. And then for the next 3 months, it's forget about it. And I'm
On
like, this
again.
makes me feel horrible. And I recognize it's not that I actually like the chocolate, let's say, it's that I love the way it makes me feel and the way it feels in my mouth and all of these things. So there's a lot of behaviors that we have that make us feel good, or at least we think feel good. But really what we need is to find ways to feel good that is more nourishing. So eat the food that, you know, is cleaner. And if you're going from, you know, eating out every day straight to organic food, that can be really overwhelming. So maybe just start introducing more vegetables, or cook one more meal a week in your home.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many services out there now, like I think it's called Marley Spoon or something, that can really help you learn to cook your own food rather than, you know, those frozen meals that are meant to be healthy, which I think anything you put in a microwave is not it's not food afterwards. So that's my belief system. But, you know, so that element of starting one thing at a time, and then you just build that up over time, and then you know that at the end of the year you want to have either given up or moved away from all of these things, and then you have a vision for what health looks like for you. So I love that you said that. And I also that thing about being happy.
Yes.
Natasha, I had no idea what being happy was for such a long time. And I really had to ask myself, well, if I don't know what makes me happy, then how can I say I'm happy in my life? And so now I find, like, even, as I had shown you, we've got a new puppy, and, she won't sleep unless she falls asleep in my lap first. And I'm like, I desperately need sleep. And we just got over getting Enzo, our other puppy, he's almost 2 soon, to a place where he sleeps for most of the night, but he refuses to sleep unless it's on our bed. It was a bad habit that we started, but now it's like, whatever, we can fix it. But I'm like, I love having him cuddle me in the morning. But we want to do differently with the little one. So, I was sitting there last night and I was like, I'm so tired. She just won't fall asleep. And I thought, I have 15 minutes to meditate. And so I just sat there and I just said all these things that I'm grateful for. And it made the time go by, and it meant that she fell asleep and I could get up and sneak away. But it also, I got to meditate yesterday where I had no time to do anything. I got to just breathe. I got to focus on my breathing. And so even in small situations in your life, you could literally practice breath work while you're cooking. You can practice breath work while you're on the train. You can practice meditation while you're, eating. Make eating a meditative process for you. Chew slower, chew more often, taste the food in your mouth, feel the texture, like everything. There is a way to bring all of these things into every aspect of your life. So I love that you brought up that happiness piece. Every woman, my loves, go get to know who you are so that you can find what makes you happy, so that you can create what makes you happy in your life. And in order for you to create a life that you can thrive in, that self-development piece that you were talking a lot about, getting to know yourself and those transformative processes, those don't come unless you're willing to look at yourself as the source of all in your life, all the good and all the bad. So I think that a big part for me of becoming the woman that I am today, had it not been for the work that I started doing back in 2016, where I physically started doing the work, I started attending workshops, but the work actually started like 10 years before that, with really, really important life lessons that I didn't know were life lessons, right? But without doing all of that, I wouldn't have gotten to this place. And they were all baby steps. And when you look back, they're massive, right? Like, you would have done so much stuff and you would have looked back and been like, oh my God, I can't believe I had a, samosa business at what point. Like, you look at your life and you're like, how much have I done? But they were all like, that was one step at a time.
Yeah.
That led you to the 20 steps later, where you're, helping women thrive with affiliate marketing businesses and helping them transform their lives and get financial freedom and have better health and you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was just one other thing that has been a massive game changer for me to support me to thrive, is that I have a cleaner that comes to my house. So
That is a 7-hour job for me once a month. Even though I clean all the
exactly.
time, this house just takes so much of my energy.
Exactly. So for me, I'm like, I love cleaning, but it takes up so much of my time. And when you have many dog, cat, partner, 2 daughters in the house gets very messy very, very quickly. So I'm like, I want a cleaner. Even though when we first got a cleaner, financially it was a stretch, but I knew, like, this is what we get taught within our community of leaders: make the big bold moves before you're actually ready.
Yes.
Because when you do this is what supports change to come. And even though we were financially stretched at the time, it's like, I need a cleaner and I want to get a massage once a week. So it's like, putting those steps in is going to ultimately support me to thrive so much more than waking up and spending hours and hours and hours cleaning the house, which is taking me away from my business time, taking me away from my family time, making me feel stressed and exhausting at the same time. So now it's like the best feeling. She comes twice a week now.
Oh,
And
wow.
she also looks after the kids. And like, I'm a bit indulgent, but it's like, this is what I
Need
need.
it.
And this is my choice that I'm making to support me more. And it just feels so satisfying. And I'm so grateful. And she loves coming to our house. Like, her mission is to support families in their homes. She's like a full angel. She's like, I want families to thrive. So for me to come into your home and to support you with the kids and babysit here and there and clean and make the beds and fold the washing, and it's just like, she's getting satisfied, we're getting satisfied. It's a win-win. So
Where can I find me one of these angels?
yes, I'm sure there's many around.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That would be amazing. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
would. significantly changed my life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Chanel. Maybe, yeah, you can take some tips from today as well. And I'll be in touch with you in a few
Yes.
weeks and you're like, oh my
Have you got to clean yet?
yeah. Or you'll be
Oh my
like
God, the
a whole
guilt
new
within
woman.
me. My mum we used to pay us like $1 to help her clean every Saturday. And my mum made cleaning fun. Like we used to put the Gypsy Kings on,
Yeah.
Spanish guitar and dance around and vacuum and Windex the glass table and all these things. So for me, cleaning's never been a chore because mum made it fun. And so I'll put music on and dance around. But this
That's
house is
beautiful.
just too big.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we bought it because we wanted land so that when we have kids, the kids have somewhere to play outside. I'm really, I'm so committed to having a backyard. All the houses we were looking at in the suburbs we wanted to live in had no backyard. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not living this way. I'm not living this way. I don't care if we have to move out a little bit. Let's just find somewhere where we have a block that's a good enough size and a decent sized house so that we have space. Yeah, that'd make a huge difference to me if someone came and cleaned the house because I'm sick of
Well,
vacuuming every day.
yes. Yeah, it's just about making that big bold move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would love to know, given we've spoken so much about, being a woman, what it takes to be a woman, what it takes to thrive as a woman, what do you love about being a woman?
Hmm. What do I love about being a woman? Well, I love being able to feel, like, not just feel within my heart, but I love the sensuality of being a woman. I love the softness when I can drop into my full feminine flow, um, which is quite often actually. My partner is beautiful. He very much helps me drop into that. He's like a rock. We've got an amazing relationship, which I'm so grateful for. So when I'm in my full sensual, like I love the act of receiving and I love the act of giving. Like that just comes so naturally for me. I love nurturing. Like for me, nurturing is like this beautiful extension of me being able to express my love, whether it's for my children, my partner, my family, for the women that I'm helping. Like I feel like I definitely bring in that aspect of nurturing through all of my life. And I love the body. I love the woman's body.
Mm.
Just the curves, the shapes, the flabbiness, the just the way that we can move. And yeah, ultimately, yeah, the creative expression as well. Like I feel like that's something that really I love tapping into that, whether it's birthing babies, whether it's birthing businesses, whether it's birthing ideas. Like so when I can really open to that aspect of creating, I really love to be able to tap into that and just being really fluid with all of that. And then being of service, I feel like that just comes so naturally for me as a woman. And, I see so many other women around me, connect to that part of themselves as well. And yeah, being able to love so generously. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I
I
love
love
about
that.
being a woman. Yeah.
That fills my
Mm.
heart. That really fills
Mm.
my heart. And oh my God, it was such a pleasure to talk to you today. I
Oh,
hope every woman who's listening and watching finds you,
oh, thank you,
finds what you're
Chanel.
doing so they can connect with you. I just feel so lucky that I had even been referred to you. So what a wonderful conversation to have, especially, in my life where I'm at right now, just to be reminded that, there is so much more than the grind.
Absolutely.
So yeah, please tell the listeners where they can find you, where they can connect with you, how they can work with you.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've just absolutely loved this conversation so much, Chanel. I've loved meeting you as well. Like, you're just such a gem and so gorgeous. So grateful. Can't wait to listen to more of your podcasts and connect with all of the other amazing women you bring in. So yeah, the work that I offer, I am opening up to starting to mentor women. So one-on-one mentorship. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling, oh, I'd love to receive just some extra support and guidance around supporting you to thrive more in your life, whether that's in health, wealth, finances, motherhood, partnerships, whatever it is that you are yearning to thrive more, I'm here to help you. give you clarity and guidance, support, accountability, and nurturing with that through a one-on-one mentorship package that I can offer you. And then if any of you feel ignited about creating your own business and you're yearning the time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, health freedom, I'm more than happy to share more about the incredible business model that I've been sharing with you today. And if you're also interested in the health giving products of the water systems, shower filters, EMF harmonizers, a lot of people simply invest in the products purely without necessarily doing the business. So if you just want the products for your family without the business, then more than happy to share resources and info with you about that as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you are interested in connecting with Natasha and finding out some of the products that she does have access to, I will include in the episode description and across socials links and ways you can do that. So if you haven't already, head on over to Spotify and Instagram to follow the Skin I'm In podcast and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Natasha, thank you so much for being a guest on the Skin I'm In podcast.
Thank you so much, Chanel.
Natasha to me is an undercover powerhouse, which I believe is the best kind of all because you get underestimated a lot, and that means getting on your soul's mission and carrying it out is easier because you get to do it in the shadows. And I say that because what I notice about her is that she holds her power rather than projecting it onto people, which I find a lot in the wellness space. I don't know if you guys are noticing, but I feel like it's really preachy. But with Natasha, she teaches others to hold their power with a calm, fluid-like demeanor. My experience in the health space, as I said, often leaves me feeling more like it's just talk and fluff than there is actual helping of people. And I didn't feel that way at all with Natasha. She is sure of herself. She knows what she cares about, and she's aligned her life in a way that allows her to have the financial freedom to raise her kids, have a comfortable income, and still get to work on her passion projects. I've noticed a movement among mums, especially, who have become passionate about being self sufficient and creating a life for themselves where they can be more present for their children, their partner, themselves, and to follow their soul's mission. For those of you who have been listening to the show from season 1, you would know I spoke to an amazing female founder over in the UK named Kelly Tucker. She's the founder of HR Star. Her and I spoke of her business being her baby. If you haven't listened to the episode, it is a great one for anyone who is trying to simultaneously mother, wife, and build a business, which we all know is really hard to do. It's season 1, episode 10, Can Women Really Have It All? In that episode, we spoke about how much it meant to her to build this business, to become self-sufficient and really help other founders grow their businesses too. In a way, and now that I think about that conversation, I think what Kelly is really doing is creating her community of mothers and fathers and uncles and aunties who co-raise the children in the community. In this instance, though, it was businesses in her community with male and female founders building their own businesses to then go out into their community and contribute further, like having an impact on their employees and then their employees having an impact on the people in their lives and so forth. So when I think of birthing and mothering, it's becoming so evident to me that women have incredible ideas and are able to problem solve in a way that has the potential to raise each other up. What we don't have enough of, though, or maybe I'm just yet not exposed to it, and maybe perhaps through this podcast I will become exposed to more women like this, but women like Natasha and Kelly who know that what they are, like what they really care about is helping others thrive. And in Natasha's case, she knows she wants to help other women thrive, for other mothers to thrive, to be of service, to give other women specifically the chance to have financial freedom so that they can raise their children or build their hobbies into a business. How many of us wish we had that? It's that question of if you won the lotto tomorrow or if money wasn't an issue, what would you do with your life? I know at the very least I would still be here, sitting in this chair, talking to amazing women and creating a space for all of you to come to gain peace, purpose, and permission to live your healthiest, most authentic lives through the stories of other women. I would also probably buy more dogs because, two's never enough, and have a big block of land on a mountaintop somewhere away from people. Nature and wildlife. Totally agree with Natasha. And I'd live out the rest of my days telling stories of women wiser than me to my children, all while teaching them and myself how to grow our own food and make our own butter or something like that. I wonder what the answer would be for those of you listening and watching to this episode. Please let me know. Comment below, send me a message. I'd love to hear what your dreams are. With gratitude and grace, have a wonderful day.